That's why you should come to the in-person meeting.
Well, it's kind of hard from Canada. Do what I can.
We did.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Judy, Jim, Bill, and Cheryl here in person as well. We've got a Jim and Bill and Cheryl.
I'm off. I'm out of the.
We can't see or hear Jim, but he's with us. You have to believe that he's actually here. Hello, welcome. This is the Sandcar. Well, you know what? I should hit this record button. Hold on a second. Why can't I record? It's always something. Why won't it do this? Give me 1 second. Let's do this.
Getting distracted. Thanks.
You know what? I guess I'm not gonna worry about recording, am I? Because I can't fix that right now.
There's Jonathan. He's with us.
And Jonathan's with us.
Includes me.
Turn around
So
and say
mad.
hello to the camera.
Oh, I can fix it right. Where is my... Give me 1 second and we will be real again. I'm looking for here, here, and here.
Speak up for you.
And
Oh, she's here.
who
She'll
said
hear
that?
you now.
Who said that?
Well,
Who said that? The one you can't see.
What?
What we have to get Scott used to doing is when somebody in the room asks a question, he should repeat it to the.
Hey, Sandy.
Hey, Mom's here. There we go. Let's put a folder here. We're almost ready to start. I'm just trying to fix one more thing here. Let's see that work. And then let's try recording. Looked like it was going to work. All right. Okay, let's try this again. We're already online. We're already on YouTube. I am Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and you folks are the San Carlos Computer Club. We are a virtual meeting almost all the time, but today we are also an in-person meeting, and it is Bill, Cheryl, and Jim here with me in Tequilas, as well as Jonathan as our server and movie expert.
Server extraordinaire.
That's right, the server
Almost as good as
extraordinaire.
Esmeralda.
More
We're-
handsome.
We're happy that all this equipment appears to be working. We've got less cables, and only one computer. In the past, we've had 3 computers to make this happen, and now I'm doing it with this one computer. Good morning, everybody. In typical fashion, I should have sent you out a link to this document of possible topics. I'm going to drop that link in our virtual meeting, so anybody that didn't get it can bring it up. You just drop it in the chat and you can click on it. It also has the next meeting code in it in case we run long. You'll find the meet codes in that document if you don't already have them. And even though I have brought some of my own topics, in fact, let me just take a moment at the top here just to reiterate some stuff that I always reiterate. The Bill of Digital Rights is still out there, still looking for as much comment as possible and as much exposure as possible. So if you find yourself having a discussion with folks about this topic, please make reference to it. Even if you can't share it with them directly, let me know and I'll make sure you have something you can share with them. We want this to be a subject that is getting shared with our representatives. This is a document that's intended to protect us as individuals as we go into the digital world, and it's a good basis for any legislation or government or business procedure or ethics to reflect on before they're trying to put something together. They're trying to put together a policy or a plan or a law. We want them to be reflecting on this, and in a perfect world, this would be amended to a constitution so that every decision that's made legally needs to go through it like the United States goes through the Bill of Rights when they're trying to make something constitutional. The other topic that I'll hit again, oh, here's Dad. I'll let Dad hit, is that the bed and breakfast is taking reservations in Alaska. If you want to come to Alaska and you're from San Carlos, if you're from our club, you instantly get a 10% discount. So please,
Organize
that's my
a road
plug.
trip.
Yeah, organize a road trip. What I can tell you about Alaska is if you're serious about wanting to come in the summer, you need to be serious about it now. You don't want to wait till the last minute. It gets very expensive and unavailable. So if you are curious about it, going to Alaska this summer, you need to be thinking about it now, or you're thinking about next summer, the next summer's vacation.
When does the mosquito repellent go on sale?
Right. And then the third thing I'll bring up again that I've been bringing up the last couple of weeks is I am interested in doing another smartphones for dummies. I'm calling it Smartphones for Dummies 2, TOO also. And it's going to be an updated seminar of topics. The last one I did was 5 years ago. I think a lot of things have changed in the market. Our perception of malware, spyware, our perception of tracking and our controls over it, as well as just the services that are being offered to us and the hardware that we're now buying, the things that it's capable of. I feel like it needs an update. And so what I've been doing the last couple of weeks, I've been asking for your guys' advice. I've been tracking questions that you have brought up in club, and I've added them to this list. At the top of this, in this list of topics at the top of our documents, I've been including links to suggestions and fixes and tips that have addressed the questions I've been asked. And I'm maintaining this list as we go forward. And I'm hoping that what we'll end up with is a list of the kinds of things that matter in this modern age for smartphones now, based on the things that matter to you guys. So if you have smartphone topics, please bring them to me. If you have them today, I'll be adding them to this list as we try and answer them, or it'll be here to be answered in the future as we look for that information. Those are my three big things I want to hit at the top of the hour. After that, I've brought some news, but in a typical fashion, I'm much more interested in what's going on with you guys. So if you have topics yourself, if there's technical issues you're trying to solve, services you're using that aren't making sense, services you're considering buying and want to get our opinion on, this is the time. Christmas shopping. Christmas is right around the corner. Anybody have any purchases they're trying? Did anybody get anything off of Black Fridays? Cyber Monday? Jim, come on.
New TV on Black Friday.
You got a new TV on Black Friday.
Yeah, 65-inch high scene. They're made in China, so this will be the last hurrah for Christmas before the import and the tariffs go up on the TV.
Man, that is a good discussion to have
the
too.
Chinese ones. Sony, I believe, and Samsung are made in Korea and Japan. So far there's no tariff on Korean or Japan. But China for the high scene, which are breaking all the records, everybody's favorite picture and all that, it's going to go up.
It's going to go up. Yeah, we should be expecting all tech products because the majority of them are built in China.
Or Chinese parts.
We should expect prices going up. It's in tech circles. They have been saying better to buy now than wait. If you've got budgets, in fact, I've been in discussions recently with corporations that are making changes. They're doing upgrades. In fact, we were talking this morning about this job that I'm proposing on right now. I said that one of the main reasons that they're upgrading is because of the security aspect of Windows 10 support being ended in October, I think it's October of 2025, we will no longer be receiving updates from Microsoft for Windows 10. This is a plant. They have 20 computers. They're all running Windows 10, and the equipment is old enough that it's not going to run Windows 11. But the other thing I forgot to mention in this equation, whether they've mentioned it to me or not, is we're all thinking about tariffs right this moment. And if you have one of these plans on the back burner, it's on the front burner right now. Because if you got to buy 20 computers, that's going to add up very quickly to much more expensive than you were budgeting before. So we're probably going to be seeing a lot of these things just popping off right from the get-go. People buying into equipment that they're not certain they need right at this moment, but they don't need to pay more for it later. And you folks out there should be thinking in these terms as well. If you're in the market for new technology, then there's a very good chance that technology, the same technology, is going to be more expensive. What's Trump saying? He's throwing around 10%, 25%. Expected to cost more later. The price won't go down. It's going to go up this year. Security cameras, if you're thinking about it, maybe this is the time to buy them. Laptop upgrade, which I have been in the market for, but I've decided to pause because it's just too much money. But I expect that price to end up going up in the next few months. The flip side of all this is I haven't seen tech more available in the Mexican market than ever before. I was shopping tech over the last few weeks for Christmas shopping, and it was just rock bottom prices for stuff in this country. Amazon.mx versus Amazon.com. These things I thought I was buying in the States to bring back with me are showing up in the Mexican market at the same or a better price than buying it in the United States. And so that's an interesting perspective. That's maybe we're going to be, well, we bought a new stove. Bought a new stove for the house. You've been wanting to. Our old stove is older than my children, which should be okay, right? Like we should have appliances that last a generation or longer. It's only in the most recent development of technology they last 5 to 7 years. That's a new thing. These young people don't know that, like, my grandfather's fridge is still sitting in my aunt's house and running good. My children would never understand that. But there's no reason.
What, it doesn't have a screen on it?
The reason these things die is because they're built to die so they can be replaced. And it's one of the things that the Bill of Digital Rights would protect. It would ensure that appliances have to be appliances first and computers second. That computers are an add-on. They're not the active function. I call it passive smart, and we should be pushing it. But anyway, Yuya and I had a criteria for aesthetics for the stove. A size, some feature set that we'd set for ourselves. And one of the big things we both agreed, no computer. Which is funny because I'm a computer guy. But yeah. I know so much now that I would never put a computer in a stove.
So it doesn't have a digital clock. It doesn't
nope.
have no.
It has no console like that. It's got just manual off and on, and it's got a button for the light. It does have a temperature control for the oven that's somewhat dialed in to some indicators saying, but it's all manual, it's all analog.
It doesn't work.
American stove or Mexican?
Mexican. This is the thing that blew my mind is I'm searching in both markets for this stove.
But pilot light doesn't, the oven won't light unless you use a match.
It's got auto strikers on it.
In the oven?
In the oven,
oven?
yeah. Plug it in.
Mexican stove?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Hey,
Yeah.
we finally made it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Our other Mexican stove had strikers in it too, but you had to use a button. So you'd hit a button and it would strike
you just turn
all
on
of them
and
at the same time.
Yeah.
Even the oven?
Oh, the oven didn't have. You're right. I had to light the oven with a match on our old Mexican stove. This one I don't. It's got a striker.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, they've got individual strikers, so you don't have to strike all the burners at the same time. You can strike whatever burner you're using. And one of my wife's criteria was the burners have to be removable so they can be cleaned.
Mhm.
Because our other stove, they were fixed. And so you'd need,
How many shelves in the oven?
one, which is a point of contingence. We did not expect that. And it's a little shelf that cannot be moved.
Oh gosh.
It is attached with so that it can extract with the door.
You can undo those.
You can undo those,
And
but
then
this
the-
particular one you can't move the shelf on. It is
Where's the broiler?
it's underneath.
Oh, it is an underneath broiler.
Yeah. So I immediately my budget, the reason for this story is because this satisfied all our criteria. The shelves caught us off guard. We did not realize we weren't getting a shelf that we could adjust. We would have, and I actually later found almost the identical one in the Mexican market with a shelf costing $200 more.
Ooh.
I'm like, well, if we had come across that kind of decision making, we would have opted for the one without the shelf and bought the shelf later, because I found the shelf
I was gonna
online
say.
for $25.
Yeah, you can buy a
Does it
shelf.
have the rails for the shelves to change?
Yeah. The stove does.
Yeah, but the shelves don't move.
But the shelf.
Scott,
Yeah.
Scott, my Mexican whirlpool stove
whirlpool.
that we put in the house when we built the house in 2008 has a dial that you click on and it lights the oven. So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No,
how
that's
it's
mine.
new
That's
technology.
what I
This
just
is
got.
old. This
That's
is
what
old.
I just got. Well, I didn't think it was new technology. I didn't call it
No.
new technology. I called it my new
No,
stove.
but Jim did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
That's Jim.
They heard you.
Yeah, well, good. So you're the only one that can't hear me.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're very happy with it. What was the point I was going to make with
I
it?
don't know.
I don't remember
Oh,
either. At
buy
this point.
now.
Black Friday.
Oh, the price. So this is our criteria: clean, removable burners, no computer, whatever other feature sets we had decided, and an aesthetic that we were looking for, so it would match in the kitchen. The options that we found in the United States were almost 3 times the price of what I paid for this stove in the in Mexico. And- Yes, like 3 times the price. I'm looking at this going, if I had a house in the U.S., I would come down here and buy
it.
this stove and bring it back to the U.S.
And then pay importation.
It'd still be cheaper. I paid import on my new dishwasher. I just brought a new dishwasher down, and import was nominal. It wasn't worth getting in trouble with trying to. It was something like $60 to import.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'm like, why would I even risk it? But so we've got a new stove. They don't sell this stove in the U.S. market. In the U.S. market, all the stoves I looked at were easily over $1,000, and they all had computer components in them. I think this is the wrong way to go with appliances. The computer is the thing that's going to fail in your appliance, because stoves have been cooking food for hundreds of years.
Well,
Refrigerators have been keeping things cold for over
The
100
only moving
years.
part is elves. That's it.
The thing that's going to go bad in these appliances are the computers that have
Yeah.
only been around for the last 30, 50 years. And the whole time with problems. Things like Y2K problems. Your stove doesn't work because it is now 2001.
Did that actually happen?
No,
No, I
No.
didn't think so.
it didn't actually happen. I actually had this discussion with somebody the other day, and they're like, oh, it was a bunch of horse shit. And I said, well, some of it was horse shit, but some of it is because people started taking it seriously and fixing the problems where there were
Yeah,
going to
ahead
be
of time,
major
yeah.
problems. So the trains kept running on
Just
time. The
as a-
planes. Wait, just to finish this off, think about what happened with that virus update, that CrowdStrike
Yeah.
virus update that went awry and brought down travel for a day, brought down commerce for a day,
Couldn't get gas at Costco.
right? And it's all because they had just screwed up this update. That was Y2K right
Yeah.
there. That's what Y2K could have looked like if people hadn't started working on that problem ahead of time. I don't think it would have been as extreme because we weren't as computerized, but I definitely think there would be a problem in the travel industry because we were in one of the first places that was computerized. Banking would have been a problem because of one of the first places where computers were so important. And that's the reason they focused in those areas during Y2K. Is they had to make sure those were, whether you could play Pac-Man or not didn't matter. But whether your banking account had the right number in it, that's what mattered after 2000. I'm sorry, Bill, you were going to make a comment.
It's a sidebar.
Okay.
I believe we were over the middle of the Pacific Ocean coming back from Hawaii on that day.
At 12:01.
Oh yeah.
At
Yeah.
12 o'clock
That's
on
we trusted.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah, there you go.
The plane wasn't going to fall out of the sky.
Your pilot's up front setting the date
1999.
back as they're moving.
1999, December 31st, yes.
But it was a good thing. It probably wasn't a Boeing, so it didn't fall out of the sky.
Well, in 2000s, Boeing was making great planes.
Yeah, they were.
Now they just put their name on planes.
Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. That's what they should claim they're doing, though.
Yeah.
You know, save some face. Oh, we just bought these from the Chinese and put our names
Yeah,
on.
it's the Chinese.
Might have something for your smartphone.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I don't have to be the only one talking. If you guys have topics, speak up.
Yeah, but you talk so well.
Can they hear me from your?
They can if you speak up.
Okay. How loud? Okay. This week I discovered how to translate when I'm typing a message on WhatsApp, and it's in our iPhones, and I don't have to copy and paste it into Translate or anything. All I have to do is select, like, type the text in English, select the text, and
I'm trying this right now.
yeah, type it in English, select the text, like,
Okay.
and
I've got the
window drops
English,
down.
and then I select it.
Yeah, all of it.
Okay.
And then a Dropbox comes down, and usually there's a little arrow at the end of your Dropbox that goes to more options.
Okay, so what pops up on my screen says cut, copy, format, and an arrow to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hit that. Look at translate.
Translate is there now.
Oh.
And when you go to Translate, it opens up a window, and it says, do you want to replace with Translated? And it works
Okay.
awesome.
We're going to try this.
It works in messaging. It works in Facebook messaging.
This is what came up.
It works in a lot of messaging things. I just tried it in my email, like I wrote an email, and it translated it.
Okay, so I don't know why it's suggesting Dutch. I was going to say it should suggest Danish because we've been doing those kinds of translations. There's Spanish, Spain.
Yeah, that's one I've had to use.
I'm looking at, there's a manage languages here, and it gets you into your iPhone's language list of languages available, so you could download a language dictionary, and there is not.
There is not. I didn't think. I tried last night to get to a Mexican Spanish, and I couldn't find it anywhere.
There's US, there's Spain Spanish, and that is really disappointing. They also don't have Canadian English, so I don't know how we're going to communicate with you guys.
We use
Because Spanish from Spain is very, very different
Yeah, absolutely.
than Mexican Spanish.
And why wouldn't Apple have?
They made sure there's two different Chinese in here, but they don't have a Spanish for Mexico.
I know. I was looking for it yesterday because.
In fact, it's actually, if I was a Latino, I might be offended because there is no Latin derivative in this list of languages made available for download. I don't find any Latin country language here except for Portuguese, Brazil.
But isn't that translate a part of WhatsApp? Not
No, I tried it in all messaging systems and in my email. So it's.
And if you
Oh.
follow the WhatsApp,
It's on the
see,
platform.
if I choose, yeah, this is on the iPhone. So here I am. I've got
Right.
something I want to translate,
Right.
and I follow the arrow to the right, and it doesn't. Oh, I don't have it. And it
Right.
says translate, and I hit the translate button. It gives me some suggestions,
Right.
which don't make sense to me. It should be Danish or Spanish in English. But then here's the other languages available. And those are
But
they're all
my comment was,
I'm not done.
don't you think that
I'm
that's
done.
a WhatsApp
No.
translation? You
If you
think
let
that's
me-
an iPhone?
I'm telling you it's an iPhone, and I'm showing you
Okay.
why. At the end of this list, it says manage languages.
Right.
So
Right.
if you
I
click
saw
on
that.
Manage languages, it leaves WhatsApp and it goes into the iPhone settings where it keeps dictionaries of languages for translating for input and output. And so right now I'm downloading the English and the Spanish to my phone in hopes that what that means is it doesn't matter whether you have an internet connection, you're able to translate at least basic stuff. That's very cool. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a WhatsApp. I think that just from your experience, this is an iPhone thing.
This is an what do you call it? Platform. iOS.
iOS
This
thing?
is iOS because the same thread in On the Road in Mexico, there were some Android users that were trying to find an easy one, and they were finding they had to copy and paste it into a translate like Google Translate and then paste it back in, and there was no easy fix for the Android people. It was only on iOS.
I'm going to call this an inline translator.
Android works fine that way.
To
So
translate?
so now if you do WhatsApp on Android and you select it, how do you get it translated? What are the steps you got to go
Just
through?
like you said, same thing.
Well,
Translate shows up, Google Translate.
Oh, Google shows up? Oh, okay.
Do you have to have the Google Translator installed?
Oh, I do.
Well, I wonder
I
if,
haven't tried it without a
Yeah.
translator installed.
because like in this case there is no translator installed. This is from iOS. So I'd be interested in knowing if that's an add-on by including the translator or if it's based in the Android operating system. 'Cause it's
I'm not going to uninstall it to find out.
well, when you start comparing and contrasting features between the two platforms,
And
you find that there's a lot of things that Apple makes available as an Apple thing
well,
that
actually,
Google makes available as a separate component that's added to Android.
the phone came with Google Translate. Just like your computer, if you go to google.com for your search engine,
Mm-hmm.
there's Google Translate is already there.
Well, sure, but that's a client to a web page to a service that's online, whereas this is a system that's
Yeah,
built
but
into the
Android is
operating
made by
system.
Google.
Well, sure, but I mean, basically, by your own example there, if you were to turn off your connection to the internet, you wouldn't be able to translate.
I don't know.
Well, if you're going to a web page, you have to get to the web page. If you're doing translating, it has to go out to a server. So if you can't go to a server, you can't translate. If you go in, for example, if you go into airplane mode, if you're and we're discussing the Google page like you said, you can't get to that page, you can't translate. If you're in airplane mode. And that would be a distinction between the two different ways that software is being used. Now I know
So I
with
just
Google
went into languages on my iPad and Mexican, Spanish, Espanol, Mexico is there. And when I changed it or canceled out or changed it or whatever it did, it knocked me off the meet.
So
Oh.
you're in where
I'm on my iPad.
yeah, but where
In
did you
settings?
find the list of languages?
I went to
Settings,
and I went to general,
general.
languages and messages, or languages and region.
Okay, so this is different.
iPad language.
And so then I see now, because my preferred language is English,
So these are
and then I have Espanol, Spanish, and I have now Espanol, Mexico.
right, right. So Judy, these are not the language dictionaries we're talking about. These are your keyboard and predictive text options.
Mm-hmm.
These
But now I'm going to go back to,
Languages and then language variants. Call a variant.
but these are keyboards and these are predictive text. Like if you're talking to your keyboard, and you need but these are not the translating dictionaries that we're talking about, which is a different deal.
well, I understand what you're saying, but it knocks me off every time that I do this. So now I'm going to go in to iPad or to WhatsApp and see what it says.
Dictionary settings.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see.
So it's oh, hey, Linda's with us. Hi, Linda.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're here in the
Okay.
Tequilas right now. Jim's with us too, but he refuses to get on camera.
Okay, I'm still looking. So now I'm in dictionary settings and I'm looking under dictionary. Asian.
Well, I think you're looking. I think you're going to end up with a third area of languages, because you've got languages for your keyboard and for predictive text. You've got languages for this translation feature we're talking about. And then what are you looking at right now?
Okay, I searched under settings for dictionary. I got three choices: text replacement, dictionary settings, and reset keyboard dictionary. So under dictionary settings, I have three things set already, and I'm trying to find a Spanish Mexican. I've got English US, Oxford, New Oxford, and Apple Dictionary.
So I think you're going to find the supplemental dictionary that you're able to create of words that aren't already there under that language.
English.
Okay, so I went into that setting and I've got English US, New Oxford American Dictionary, English Oxford American, Spanish, Larousse Editorial Diccionario General, and then I have Spanish to English, and I have Apple Dictionary.
I'm going to turn
Well,
on those.
Since they've dedicated so much to Latin American Spanish in other areas of this platform, I imagine it's just a matter of time before they've got inline translating to be able to translate to Latin American Spanish. But who knows? My frustration with Amazon persists. You cannot use the Amazon website in English. You have to use a browser to translate it. Whereas
Exactly.
if you go to Canada, you can do it in French. If you go to France, you can do it in English. If you go to the United States, you can do it in Spanish. You don't need a special browser. What do you?
And also, if you are looking at Costco, it will automatically, you just click the button that translates Costco.mx to Spanish. But Amazon, I can't figure it out.
No, they've intentionally left it out of Amazon.
Because in the United States does not have an official language. Mexico has an official language, and that's why everything's in Spanish.
Well, this has been my assumption, is like you can't have a legal document that isn't in Spanish. It's not legal unless it's in Spanish.
Because Spanish is the legal language here.
And
The
in
United
Canada, we
States
have two.
has no legal language.
Isn't the word Castilian a part of this conversation?
Well, Castilian would be Spain Spanish.
Feigning to me.
Yeah, European
Spain
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yeah. Linda,
I
you've
would
got
think
your
that-
hand up.
I think
Oh.
that's proper Spanish.
Well,
Castilian.
that's like saying Spanish from the UK or English from the UK is proper English.
Well, where's Latin?
That has nothing to do with
Well, they're all Latin based.
this.
Linda, you have your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Well, yeah, because I've been buying things on Mercado Libre and you cannot translate that into English and it makes it really difficult.
And if you use a Google
Yeah,
browser,
you have to use like a Chrome browser to inline translate it because they don't offer a separate language. And that's been my complaint with Amazon. There's got to be some kind of legal thing. I mean, if it does come down to official languages, there's got to be some legal thing they can do, some checkbox or something like this is not official, but you can do it in this language because it's all automatically translated. When you choose, and I've got this in my head because I've been shopping for Christmas for my daughter that's in France, and I'm able to shop the French store in English just by clicking a button. And I can't shop the Mexican store in English without going to a specific web browser and tailoring it to inline translate. And I just think that's dumb. And Amazon should have some recourse for that where they can just like some disclaimer. Check this box. None of this is legally correct, but it's in your language. But I'm not the one making the rules.
Maybe you should.
Do we have any other topics besides my ranting on online commerce?
I have a new topic.
Sure. Go ahead, Chester.
My car sound system will accept two disk flash drives. And the question, what I have done is I've loaded up the flash drives with music that I like. And I can listen to it over and over and over again, which doesn't bother me. As a matter of fact, quite enjoyable. So I had a real issue with trying to get the audio out of video, particularly YouTube videos that had tremendous music, but it was all connected with video. There used to be programs that you could that would do that for you automatically, but they soon discovered that that was illegal because the video is protected by law. So I found a program recently that does the job, and so I thought I would share that.
Well, sure. What's the name of the program?
The program is called Audacity.
Oh yeah.
Audacity, and so I've recently been converting a lot of extracting a lot of the audio out of video presentations.
Audacity is an audio editing program that I've used a lot. I used to use it when we were doing an audio podcast for the Computer Club. And if you drop a video into it, it will immediately strip the video away and leave you with an audio file.
Right. And so I'm really enjoying it.
But it's a great recommendation if that's what you're trying to do is to get the audio off of a video. Audacity is a great, simple, open source, free tool. No advertising. It's open source. There's no advertising embedded in it. It's fully functional. It's cross-platform. You can use it on Macintosh, Windows, Linux. There are some versions for Android. I don't recommend them. They're pretty silly.
Yeah,
but there are better programs on Android to use. But it is cross-platform. It's a great program, and it's a mature program. It's really dialed in. It doesn't have silly problems.
Might be a
and
good-
it gives you an MP3, which you can then combine with other MP3s and make your own discs. to play in the car.
Yeah.
Your article,
Oh,
7 free open source tools.
was
It's the
Audacity
last one.
on there?
I'm looking.
I bet it was.
There's a Photoshop. There's a Inkscape.
Cheryl's mentioning the last article on this list I threw in. It's basically 7 free open source tools that rival the best creative software. I flipped through the list. This Photoshop Krita I'm not familiar with. GIMP I'm very familiar with. But the idea of being a Photoshop or Illustrator replacement is that
Audacity's in there, number 2.
you're looking for controls that are similar to what you're using in Photoshop. So what this should be, and I'm not familiar with Krita, but it should be something that's as intuitive as what you do with Photoshop. If you're a Photoshop user, you should be able to adapt to this if it's a good recommendation. I am not a Photoshop user. I'm a GIMP user, graphic image manipulation program. It's a open source program that's been around for a long time and has a completely different philosophy. And if you know Photoshop, then you know GIMP as the most horrible replacement for Photoshop because there's nothing intuitive about it.
Number 2 is Audacity.
Chester's got his hand up.
Yes, I couldn't hear all of that, but I think that you were discussing an alternative to Photoshop. And if so, I would like to know the name of the program so I can take a look at it.
Krita with a K is the one that we're talking about, and I don't know it. I have not used it. Somebody that has used Photoshop in our group should take it on themselves to download this and see if you're able to do your Photoshop stuff with this.
Okay, what's the name of it?
I've got it up on my screen if you're looking at me right now. It's called Krita, Krita.
Got it, thank you.
It is waterproof.
Yeah, it is not waterproof. Oh, please. Thank you.
Actually, that would be a good article for him to open up.
Yeah, Chester, if you've got the document handy, I've put the link here under 7 free and open source tools.
Audacity is on there, and so is LibreOffice, which what I use instead of Microsoft.
Me too. I'm a big LibreOffice. The other a vector image editing program I've used a lot in the past, this Inkscape. That's great for quickly laying things out, like throwing a picture here, putting some text next to it.
Which one?
Inkscape.
Inkscape. I'm going to download that.
In fact, what I've found is in these open source tools like GIMP, Inkscape, another one that I really like is paint.net. I find that I master some function in one of these and I go to that program when I need that function. So I might be building a picture or a presentation and hit all 3 of those programs at some point. Even if one of the programs would still do it, I haven't learned how to do it in that program. So I go over to the other program to do it.
Yeah, that's the old days. You only had one program, so you had to learn them all in that one anyway.
Or you grew up in a Unix environment and the one program did one thing. So you'd take whatever that one thing accomplished and then you'd move it over to the next program that does only one thing. And if you're really sophisticated in Unix, you could pipe all those things into one command. Anyway.
Scott, could I ask a question about one of the topics? So one of your topics is the thing that came out that, well, I read it
What?
like Android users should not cross text to iPhone users. So Android platform shouldn't cross text over to iOS.
Okay, Judy, give me a second. Let's get off of this page first, okay?
Okay.
All right, because I know there's Photoshop, Lightroom users in the house. This is another one that I have no experience with. I didn't know about it until this article. This dark table. And I think if you're out there, Chester, Mom, if you guys are looking to be part of this process, check out Darktable and let us know if that's a good replacement for Lightroom, which has become like the go-to for most people that want to do fast Photoshop stuff is Lightroom. And then, yeah, go through the rest of these.
How do I get them? Like, how do I get Krita?
I would just go to their site.
It's a software.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be downloadable.
Okay, I went to it, and then it says
There's, why does that say follow?
it is.
Oh, it's a GitHub page. Let's see if it'll come up here. Yeah, there's a link at the bottom of the article. Krita AI Diffusion. I don't know. That'll be next week's meeting. We'll tell you
Okay.
how to get it.
Okay, well, I'll try this week and see if I can get them.
I mean, normally when you
Scott,
get something,
what did you call that? Dark what?
Darktable. Darktable. I've never heard of it before. But just judging from the screenshot, it looks like you're able to do things like change the color profile.
Inkscape. It's showing you how to use the two together.
Well, Inkscape is the one I have experience with.
And how-
Krita I've never heard of
And you
before.
just downloaded it onto your platform or only onto Microsoft?
I've only used those on Windows and on Macintosh. I have not used them on an iPhone. I don't know if they're even available on an iPhone. In fact, they probably aren't because they're open source. They would have to get into the iDevices, the App Store, to get onto the iDevices. So
I just found an article on Reddit that says the Darktable harder to use than Lightroom if you've never used. I guess it means Lightroom. Did you say something like that? Did I miss somebody else saying
Well,
that?
I
Haven't
think,
tried it.
yeah, I think that's the what we're trying to determine is this is being recommended for people that use Lightroom. So we're curious, given the subscription fees associated with Lightroom and Photoshop, if someone were to save, I mean, if they have Photoshop experience, Lightroom experience, maybe one of these alternatives would make for a good choice instead of having to do the subscriptions. There's a few others in here. I don't know KDN Live, but there's GIMP. That's the one that I'm very familiar with. If you have Photoshop experience, you hate this program. You absolutely hate it. If you've downloaded it before with your Photoshop experience, you've loaded it up, had no idea what you were doing in it, and uninstalled it quickly because it was so painful. I think the only people that learn how to use GIMP are people that have no experience with Photoshop. Audacity is the audio program that Chester brought up, and I swear by it. If I have audio things I need to do, this is what I pull out. And LibreOffice, as Cheryl was saying, this has been my go-to Office suite for over 10 years. In fact, I've recently had reason to start using Microsoft Office and found these very pleasant, really interesting innovations in Office I didn't even know existed. I have no idea how long they've been around because I haven't been using Office for 10 years. I've been using LibreOffice and it's sufficient. And I'll keep saying it's sufficient. There's absolutely no reason you need Microsoft Office. The only reason you need Microsoft Office at this point is if somebody you're working with has never used another Office program before and they need to borrow your computer. That's the reason that you need Office right now. It has come along where when you pay for the very reasonably priced terabyte of cloud space from Microsoft, they'll throw in Office for you. And that's the way you get Office now. You don't go out pursuing Office. You're a corporate organization if you've got Office. This LibreOffice is the one that I rely on. Okay, that is that. And if you guys don't have any questions on that, I want to go back to what Judy was talking about. Judy. Was there a particular article here? Because I've got two.
Well,
Now.
the one I read said that the FBI, or I think it was the FBI, was warning that iOS users should not send text to Android users. They should, and vice versa. They can text between iOS and they can text between Android, but no cross texting.
Why?
It's what I read.
Yeah, I didn't read that at all anywhere.
Yes.
Which article was it? Was it the Pegasus one? That's the one.
I don't think it was
came out of.
either one of those articles,
Oh, okay.
Scott.
All right.
This came through on like USA Today or something, and it said they are warning not to do that, to use other methods such as WhatsApp.
Let's that's absolutely true. It's been true for years. But let's talk a little bit about that. Because what's going on right now is they are raising the alarm of a compromise that's been around for 15 years, 20 years. It's a compromise we've known for a long time, has been out there. What is different is the compromise has finally been compromised by the Chinese. And they've discovered it in full force. And it is the result of the United States setting regulations on phone carriers that they must have a back door. And this happened almost 20 years ago. They set this regulation back in the 90s that all these systems have to have a back door for wiretapping. And they discreetly, quietly design technology all on top of that premise. And what they've discovered recently is that, of course, and something that we've always known, when you have one key that always works, people are going to spend their time trying to get a copy of that key. And like I said, this all started back in the 90s. And that one key has now been compromised, but to such a great extent that they have found Chinese influences throughout our communications network. And so if you don't participate actively in encryption communication, then your communication is compromised through this.
So Scott,
Yeah.
the article says Apple Android users on notice from FBI, CISA about texts amid massive espionage campaign. And this was first published and updated on the 7th of December.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All of this is because it's come to light. You wouldn't know about this compromise I'm telling you about that we have known about since the 90s if they hadn't discovered Chinese using this backdoor to get into our communications network. That is the story. The story isn't that we are compromised because we've known we've been compromised since the 90s. The story is they had no idea that the Chinese had access to it and has been in our networks for years. That's the story. And what the FBI is so late to the game to tell us is stop doing unencrypted communication. But could you please still do it? Because it's the only way that we can track your illegal activities. That's where we are right now. They have never wanted anybody to know that there's been these backdoors in our systems. But they have to let you know now because they've lost control of them. And they know that every phone call, every text message that you're making is being warehoused because they're doing it. And it is compromised because they found the Chinese doing it.
But my question is, why is it between an iOS device and an Android device that they're warning you not to do?
Okay,
that means that all of my friends that don't have Apple devices, I shouldn't text to them?
It means that if you're concerned about this compromise that I say has been going on since the 90s, then the only way that you can communicate securely is to choose a different platform like WhatsApp or go get an iPhone.
Facebook
A lot of
Messenger.
it has to do with the encryption
Facebook Messenger.
Android have different encryption than Apple does. So when they
Right.
send
No, Android doesn't have encryption.
that's what I heard.
No, they only recently with RCS have they adopted encryption. But everything on our phone network has been based on SMS text messages. And this compromise, SMS is not encrypted. And so if you have to go from an iPhone to an Android phone, up until recently, you could only do that through the green bubbles. You guys are familiar with the green bubble, blue bubble experience with an iPhone? If you got a blue bubble, you are using iMessage. And if you've got a green bubble, you are using SMS text messages. SMS text messages suck because they've got low quality video, low quality pictures. You can't pass emojis through it, but the real reason they suck is they don't have any encryption. And so anybody on the network is able to pull up your text messages.
But right now, if I got a text from somebody on a non-Apple device, it comes through as green.
That's
If
right.
there's no bubble, but it's still green.
That's right.
So
That means
I
no
shouldn't-
encryption. That means SMS text message. That means that you're getting it in the traditional form that you've always gotten it since your first cell phone. Which means that it is ripe to be compromised. It's ripe to be data warehoused. And now you think about this. This is mind-boggling. The U.S., and I can only imagine because the U.S. can do it, any other world power could do this, has been warehousing our conversations since the early 2000s. Because they can. Because storage is cheap. And so they've had a slice of our backbones for years. We were first made aware of it in 2006, but a lot of people already knew about it.
our call is ending. Our call is ending.
Thank you, Judy. We're moving over to the next call. I will see you guys on the other side. I'm glad somebody's paying attention. I wasn't. Oh my God, this is all so smooth with this other computer.
Oh my God.
Everything's just working. Hello, hello. I'm so happy everything is just working. Hey, somebody's listening to music over there.
I
Well, I thought I saw a lot more of you guys jump in here than there are now.
I left.
Oh, you left. Okay.
I'm still here.
Yeah. No, he hasn't made it yet. He's got to show up, though, because I was given gold. I was deep in it.
So is this
got his
just?
hand up.
Oh, I want to continue that conversation just for a second. So is this just a scare tactic since
No.
they've been since they've been recording our conversations for years, why now?
Because everybody figured it out. Because they figured out that what happened, it's a scare tactic for them. They're scaring the hell out of themselves. Because they had no idea these other governments were in our networks. Because they refused to take the advice of tech people to say, if you're going to make a back door, everybody's going to try and break in the back door. And this has been the fallacy all along. They've been trying to, you remember when they were trying to compromise iPhones for terrorism? It's like, you got to make these things so they're available to be opened up by law enforcement. You remember all that when that went down? And what tech people kept telling them is if it's easy for you to open, it's easy for anybody to open. It's just a matter of time. And processing power only gets bigger and faster and more storage, and all of it just becomes minute as technology progresses. And that's why in the United States they have had they've had a policy of collecting every transmission, every communication, and warehousing it. And by their honor, they say 6-month-old information is deleted. Anything that's encrypted is saved indefinitely. The encrypted, and that's justified because it's an exercise for their technologies. They keep encrypted communications so that they can constantly be battling against it, trying to break the encryption. Anything that's out there in the open, they say will be deleted within 6 months. Some kind of policy we have in the United States, but we have been warehousing all this communication. So now imagine you have this warehouse of all this communication, whether it be encrypted or not. What you have is a bunch of stuff to feed to a language model AI. So now you can have the AI ginning through all of these communications, trying to find patterns, trying to break encryption. Well, you can bet governments like the Chinese are doing that right now too. The scare tactic is because they don't have a better suggestion for you. They know how compromised we are. The best tactic that they can give you right now is for you to cut off their access to your information, because they're so worried about your information being compromised to a party other than the United States that they're ready to turn off the faucet for themselves. And that's what they're doing when they say use an iPhone in iMessaging, use WhatsApp. The truth is we should all be using Signal. None of us should be using WhatsApp either, because it's all controlled by Facebook Meta. And the moment they figure out they're not making any money with it, they're gonna change their policies and they're gonna open up the encryption on it. So none of us should be relying on WhatsApp as the secure communication. Right now, the only thing that looks safe and secure for everyone to be using is Signal. And I think just off of this discussion, I should start promoting Signal at every one of I had this conversation with my folks a few weeks ago. It's like we've got a huge change in government in the United States that's about to happen. We may want encrypted communication. Signal's the only one out there that makes the most sense. It's deregulated. I mean, it's not deregulated. What am I going to say? It's decentralized. It's open source, so it's vetted by tech people. It's a group project. It's not one, because it's open source. It's built by a group of people with the same interest instead of a corporation trying to make money off of it. It's robust. It's finally at a level where it's comparable to a WhatsApp. And let me say that one of the other suggestions that Judy was given in this article was switch to Facebook Messenger. It's really nice when our PR propaganda is really helpful in promoting meta projects. So they've got them pushing WhatsApp, owned by Facebook. They've got them pushing Messenger, it's owned by Facebook. That's really interesting. But Facebook Messenger isn't encrypted by default. So when they say switch to WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, you have to also know when you're using Messenger, you have to turn on encryption for each one of your conversations. They're not on by default intentionally because Facebook needs that information to sell advertising. And so we've got encryption. Please don't turn it on, is their position on this issue. So yeah, you can use Facebook Messenger, but if you want to be secure, you're going to have to go through that extra step of exploring the settings of the conversation you're having and turning on the encryption. The other end has to agree that it's going to be an encryption kind of conversation. And then from that moment, you and that other person are having an encrypted conversation. If you haven't done that with every one of your communications in Facebook, then they are not encrypted. Or maybe a better way to say that is that only secure Facebook Messenger communications are the ones that you have intentionally gone to secure. WhatsApp is not that case. WhatsApp is encrypted right from the get-go, both voice and text communication. Yes, Chester.
I may have mentioned, if I have, forgive me, but about a month ago, my bank account was hit with $8,300 and something dollars that came through the check exchange route. No one had really broken into my account as such, but somehow or another they had gotten like a check, but it wasn't a check that cleared my account. Anyway, it was reimbursed and I opened up a new account. But something I have on my list to do today is to set up double, what they call dual verification to get into my accounts.
Yes, the two-factor authentication.
Yes, and you have any comments on how to do that?
Well, it's different in a lot of cases, but one of the things that you find yourself getting into when you get into two-factor authentication is an authenticator app. And this is really the way I would suggest going about it is I would pick an authenticator. I would not pick LastPass, even though LastPass is on that list. You might pick Bitwarden or Microsoft Authenticator is a straightforward one. It acts as a password manager, but what it also does is it receives these two-factor authentications. And the idea of two-factor, and it's abbreviated 2FA, two-factor authentication, 2FA you'll see it written as. And the concept behind it is you go to try and sign into something, and you're verifying you're the user with your password, but it won't let you in until it gets a message from a device that's already been considered secure. And so it can... Yeah.
I am only interested in all of my accounts are with the Schwab, and I'm only interested in two dual verification with Schwab, not all the other.
You know, in that case, Chester, I would go to their two-factor authentication page. I'm sure they've got a write-up on it.
Okay.
I'm not sure I can spell Schwab correctly. Schwab.
SCHWAB.
WAB. Schwab. 2FA. Let's just, Charles Schwab, how to set up two-factor authentication. So you can do two-factor in a number of different ways. Like one of the ways is it could just send an email to your email account. Hopefully your email's not compromised, but that's the idea is that they send you a code to your email and then you have to use that code, and that code is only good that one time.
No, that doesn't work.
They could also send it to your text message. What we talked about for a good 5-10 minutes is how SMS has been compromised. Essentially, two-factor is not going to save you if you're the target. If you're using SMS text messages. If you're the target, somebody's going to already be collecting that information as it's coming in. It does protect you in general. A general protection because your phone gets the code that lets you in. Chester, let me do this. I'm going to send a link to this page in our chat, and I'll add one to our document as well. This is the two-factor authentication advice from Charles Schwab. And I'll put it in here as well. I guess I'll put it under websites.
I know that if I make a mistake in typing in my password, that they will insist on sending me a code on the iPhone. But that's only when I make a mistake of trying to get into the account.
That's the way this stuff should be working. I mean, they should really be making as difficult as possible. Even if you made a mistake and it becomes inconvenient, that mistake could also be a program that's just randomly trying different passwords. It's called a war dialer, and it's just brute forcing the password by trying it over and over again. And that would be the assumption that really to maintain the best security, especially in a place like a bank or a credit card, any of those kinds of institutions, I would hope the very first mistake you made is a red flag to ask you to authenticate better. That would be the best way to provide the best security.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah, I hope that helps. I'm curious to hear the solution you come up with. Judy, when you get a chance, if you could you shoot me a link to the article you read that got us talking about the FBI warning?
Sure.
So I included an FBI warning. I actually a lot of the news that I brought today are not fun topics. They're all a little depressing.
Well, the downloading of open software.
Okay, that is fun. Yeah, free software is always fun. I brought this FBI warning: smartphone users hang up and create a secret word now. You don't have to read all of this. What you need to understand, though, is with this compromise that they have announced to the world that they're concerned about, what comes along with that is it's in the day and age of generative AI. And what can happen combining these two things is you can't trust any phone call or text message that you get on your device any longer. And this is really what they're warning you against. Is they are warning you against the possibility that your daughter may call to say that she just got into a car accident and needs help right now. And it will sound, it could be a video call. It could be a FaceTime call. And it looks like your daughter. It sounds like your daughter. She's speaking to you. Because of where we are with generative AI right now, there is no way for you to tell the difference. And what the FBI is saying, stop thinking that you can tell the difference and set up a safety word for you and the people that matter to you. And this is good advice. This is something that we should all be doing. I'm going to start practicing this with my family, not because we're having problems with it now, but to circumvent problems in the future that are arising right now. Is if you get into a conversation with your son or daughter or your uncle or your aunt and it starts sounding fishy, you could just ask for the word. And if they don't have the word, you know you're talking to some guys have done this before. You're a single mom, you got to have your kids picked up by somebody they don't know. You've got a word. This is the same thing. This is a safety word. And I agree with it. I think that we should all be having these conversations with our loved ones. There's obviously people out there that are never going to be calling you for help, and when they do, it's going to be fishy. But my daughter called me from France saying, "Oh my God, Papi, I'm in trouble and I need cash." I'm going to need to be able to verify that that's my daughter as quickly as possible. And I can't think of anything quicker than us having already agreed what we're going to say to each other.
There's, I have a CPAC machine, and they set up a safety word when they send me the bill, and the bill has to have the word that I said in it for.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, because they asked you what would be your safety word.
And they send you you owe me $30 this month, and here's your word, and there's the link you want to push.
Yeah, well, over the last 4 weeks, every week I've gotten somebody telling me I have not finished paying my PayPal bill for a service that I bought. Right? And I have PayPal. I buy stuff from it all the time. And every time I have to look at this bill and go, that's bullshit. I didn't buy that.
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot. I could get $500, $600 bills.
Yeah, just keep tossing them in the trash.
Yeah, well, they're not in PayPal. If you log into PayPal, they're not there.
Thank you, Jim. I guess I should have finished that comment with, go to PayPal. Don't follow anything in that email.
Yeah.
Don't click on anything. In fact, you could get a bad experience just smelling that email. You should just stay away from it. If you have any questions about your PayPal account, your bank account, your credit card account, if anything is triggered a knee-jerk reaction,
Or banks.
yeah,
Log into
just go over to that service and verify on their end they're seeing what's being sent to you. Because if they're not seeing it, what's being sent to you is just garbage.
There's also a PayPal spoof email that you can send all those
Oh, that's
fake
good to
bills
know.
to PayPal, and they investigate it.
I'm
Because they
making
check the links, who sent it.
I'm making a note right now to find out what that is. What is the PayPal scam
Fake bills,
reporter?
scam, yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure that out because that would be good to know because I would send some of these off that direction. This kind of stuff never gets fixed without more information. It's the reason antivirus works is because people get infected. People have to get infected first. Those problems of infection have to be what's it called? Reverse engineered, and damage has to be determined, and then ways to thwart that damage and protection has to be built, and then it has to be sent out to everybody using the antivirus. If those first steps don't happen, your antivirus isn't protecting you because it has no idea what it needs to protect you against. So the whole concept of antivirus is somebody has to get infected first. And that's how these scams are. These scams, somebody has to get scammed first. And then smart people collect all that data and they work on a policy to protect other people from it. We are running out of time and people are leaving us. I recognize we're running late. So I'm going to leave some of these for another time. Because I really want to get into the Walmart stuff, but I don't feel like we have much time. I will take a moment. Cheryl had put some recommendations in here. Why don't we move on to recommendations before we call this a meeting?
I'm not sure who put the sticky in first.
I put the sticky in.
Okay, you talk about the sticky.
Okay. I did bring my own recommendations. Have you guys seen the sticky? This is the show. This is awesome.
It's Canada at its finest.
Yeah.
I think maybe you guys ought to talk about it because I'm aware.
He hasn't seen it yet.
Well, I'm aware just a little bit about the fact that your syrup reserves were compromised.
There was something, yes. This is based on
They stole a truckload of it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, that part's true.
the
But
way
there's-
I understood it was that it wasn't discovered until they started checking barrels.
Mhm.
And what they found in the barrels were things like rice syrup and corn syrup and water.
Water with weight.
Yeah. Yeah, and so this is actually a true story. Not this show. This is a fake story about a true problem
A
in
true
Canada.
event that happened.
But it's incredibly funny. Very, very short episodes, 30-minute episodes. Yuya and I binged through it like it was a 3-hour movie. I think it's got 6 episodes.
Yeah, it took me 2 nights, but yeah.
But highly recommended. It's got really good actors in it. It's very funny.
Got Jamie
Lee Curtis.
Jamie
Jamie
Lee
Lee Curtis is an executive producer, and she plays one of the roles in the show. And
Hilarious.
obviously, there's going to be another season.
I don't know. I didn't get that impression at the end.
You didn't get that from the
No,
end?
no.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil the end, but
Don't
I thought
spoil the end.
I thought the end made it clear there was going to be another season.
Oh, right, because I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Oh, gee.
and maybe it won't be another
I
season.
thought,
Maybe
what the heck?
it'll be something like the second part of the first season. The way they do things on streaming now, it's hard to say. But it was 6 episodes, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another 6 episodes very quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Bill and his brother Bob to watch it when they get here.
Oh,
when he gets here,
it's
so.
great. I would recommend it to anyone to watch.
I love
Yeah.
Margot, the lead in that. She is.
Jim.
All right, Jim.
great
We'll
in
see you
so
next
many
Tuesday.
shows.
Yeah, so many shows that we've seen, right, Sandy? Because she's, I
Right.
think she's a Canadian actress, but
Oh, is
yeah,
she?
yeah, a lot of the shows that north of 60, any of those kind of things, she's often been on, and yeah, she's a character actress. That
Yeah, she works a lot.
we recognize her. Yeah,
Well, it's a Canadian content.
yeah.
And she's
There you go.
Canadian, yes. Almost Alaskan, but not quite.
So the other one I put on there was Cross, and then you'll see I put a movie called Alex Cross. I found these two things. I think I had them on Prime, and one was on Netflix and one was on Prime. One is a series about Alex Cross, who is a detective, but he's real psychological. Like he really gets into the mindset of criminals. And Alex Cross, the movie, different actor, different partner, you know, kind of things, but it's still the same detective that is a psychologist.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So the movie is from 2012, and so the series is based on the movie.
yeah. And the series has
Actually, there are a whole series of Alex Cross books.
Oh, really?
Oh, so it's based on a book. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've opened up a whole new world of content. Didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, and I've been binging it for the last couple of nights, and it's kind of a lot of violence and a lot of
We know Cheryl as being big into violence.
oh yeah.
She's big into binging.
You know how those Canadians are.
We're
There's
apologetic
so
for
much
violence.
snow in the winter, you have to do something.
Yeah, and then the other one is The Madness. The Madness is kind of a take on what is the media doing. The guy is a journalist, political journalist. He's also an activist, and the son of an activist, Afro-American, and he gets tied up in something that he really wasn't part of, but he's accused of murder and all these things and there's conspiracies, and it was quite, oh my goodness, every episode left you with a twist. You had to watch the next one to see what was going to happen. The Madness.
The Madness. So this is new. This is on Netflix. After a media pundit stumbles upon a dead body deep in the Poconos woods, he finds himself framed for the murder of a notorious white supremacist. Sounds very interesting.
Very timely, very, and he's trying to make points about media and,
Probably racism since he's a black guy.
well, there's that too.
So when does the movie come out of the guy that shot the health CEO? They must be already in the books.
What else?
I'm sure.
You haven't been following that news?
No,
No, she doesn't follow the news.
Oh my gosh.
She gets it from me.
Yeah, no, there's we have our own like what did he remind me of? He reminded me of the Unabomber.
Yes. Well, the Unabomber is one of his heroes.
Yeah. I mean, just highly intelligent, highly recognized academic.
Wealthy family.
Yeah. Who decided to assassinate the head of,
One of the big pharma companies walked up on him on the street in Manhattan and shot him.
gosh, that was probably the most intense thing is they've got security video and you see him very clearly pop out of the shadow,
But
shoot a gun, point a gun at this
But
guy and shoot him in the back of the head.
I read one thing said that he shot him with the veterinarian gun, the gun they used to put animals out of the vets
Oh, was
used
this yesterday?
to put. Oh no, a couple of weeks.
No, it wasn't quite a week ago, I don't think.
But,
6 days ago.
And nobody could find him till somebody at McDonald's ID'd him yesterday.
Well, in fact, what they had was they were tracking down like 4 different lookalikes.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting that
I say the movie's coming out right away.
I just hope the movie focuses on the shambles of our healthcare system in the
No.
United States and not this
Well,
guy.
there is one promising thing. You know, there's a significant percentage of the population consider him a hero, not the health guy.
Right, or his family. I mean, I don't want to see anybody shot, but it's like you can feel, I mean, the tension in the American healthcare system. You could see where this could provoke. All you'd have to
Raining.
Hey,
So a big wind just came in, and now is it wind or rain?
no, these things are clouds.
you're seeing raindrops out there?
I'm hearing.
You're hearing these.
all of them.
That's what sounds
Well,
like.
how about you guys? You're our last stragglers. It's me, Bill, Cheryl, Sandy, and Jim. Do you guys have anything you'd like to add to this discussion before we bring it to an end?
One quick question that occurs to me. I know we've gone over this before, but I'm embarrassed to say I forgot. How do I cast pictures from my iPhone to my smart TV?
Okay. This is a frustrating issue because depending on your TV, you may or may not be able to easily do it. Your TV, if it's a relatively new Samsung, it should support AirPlay. And that's what you're looking for, is you're looking for a TV that supports AirPlay with your iPhone. Some do, Vizios do.
Our Fire TV, it's easy.
Your Fire TV or Fire TV stick, Fire
Fire
stick.
TV.
Fire
We bought a Fire
TV.
TV
Yeah.
when our other one got blown up by the lightning.
I haven't been able to use a stick to stream an iPhone to.
There's one, I think I've done Facebook
But not a stick.
show on the stick.
Yeah, on the
show
stick you can do
Facebook
things like
Live.
you could do Facebook,
Live.
you could
Yeah.
do YouTube, and what you're essentially doing is you're saying move the presentation from your phone over to the device so
And I
that
think Amazon Prime, Amazon Photo, I can,
Mhm.
they're on
Yeah.
my Fire Stick.
See, none of that is casting.
I know,
All
No.
of that is
Yeah.
saying I want what's going on
Sharing.
my phone
yeah.
to happen over there.
Not
and
on my
over-
phone anymore.
and
over
it's
there.
not on the phone anymore. It's happening over on that device. So you can do with like a Fire Stick, you can do things like you can cast YouTube because there's a YouTube app on the Fire Stick and there's a YouTube app on your phone. You're signed into both of them and you're able to say use that other TV over there, and then it takes that job off of the phone and it moves it over to that device. But you cannot just cast. You can't wirelessly display to that particular TV, to the Fire Stick. Right, from an Android phone, I think you can, but from an iPhone, you cannot. And so in those circumstances where you cannot with an iPhone, then you have to buy an application that would allow you to do it. And that app would exist on both the, you download a copy on your phone and a copy on the platform that you're trying to cast to. It's very cumbersome, and it's a real recommendation is buying a TV that supports AirPlay. And it used to be difficult to find. Now there's a lot of TVs that are supporting AirPlay. But if you have a TV that's say 5 years old or older, there's a good chance it doesn't support AirPlay.
Okay.
What's
the,
your TV?
the other solution that you could do is you could do something like you could buy an Apple TV. You would only need the most basic, cheapest one, and then that device could be plugged into your TV set, and then you could cast to the Apple TV, which would put it on the TV for you. So a little Apple TV device. It's a streaming device. It costs a couple $100, like $190, I think is the cheapest one they have. But that device plugged into any TV with an HDMI connection would allow you to stream an Apple device to it. Or a new TV.
Is there any such thing as a dongle that would go from the access point on the iPhone and attached to an HDMI cable?
Yes.
That could then be attached to the TV?
That is the other thing. You could go on Amazon and you could look for that connector. It does exist.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
Bill
exist.
has one. It does exist, and you might look for it in different forms. I've seen them as cables that include a power
Yeah,
connector.
you need the power connector.
If you don't, it'll drain the battery on your phone very quickly. And so you want one that will supply a power connector as well. And you might look for one that has a dock so the phone could sit upright in position instead of just lying on a coffee table or something. It could have a place that it gets docked to, and then that dock is connected through a HDMI cable to your TV set and power, of course. But regardless, that's what you're looking for. Is you're looking for a iPhone, or well, a FireWire to HDMI connection.
I'll send you a link, Jim.
You hear that?
Nice.
Bill's going to send you a link. They've got one.
Gracias, amigo.
We have to chat anyway.
Okay. Why don't you give me a call?
Okay.
I got more stuff in this document, but anything we haven't covered, I'm going to move over to next week's document. We'll plan on having another meeting next week.
Here?
Yes, here in Tequilas.
Just checking.
I think we're going to be in-person meetings for a while, unless something ends up conflicting with me being able to be here. But I'm not going back to the States regularly any longer. So
You said you had some kind of announcement
I
when
did.
you first opened. When you first opened, it said work announcement or something. I don't know. I can't remember now, but I've been waiting for that.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Maybe you're.
Sandy,
Okay.
he's having a senior moment.
Well, it could be my senior moment. It's
I'm
hard
gonna have to
say.
go back. I'm gonna have to go back through the recording and see what I said because I don't know what we're talking.
Where did I hear that, huh?
Well, I was talking about. I have been asked to propose a plan to change over 20 computers for a company I haven't heard from in years in Empalme. So I'm gonna be doing some Empalme work at the first of the year. Maybe you caught some of that discussion.
Maybe I did. Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah. So that's nice. At least I'll have some work the month of June guaranteed.
January.
Or
Wait,
January.
what?
January.
With June? You can't
Sorry,
do that.
January is what I meant to say.
That's a long
Okay.
commute.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll move on until next week. You guys have a good week, and we'll meet next Tuesday at 10. The same Computer Club channel and time from Tequilas. Everybody, back on.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
See you guys.
Love you. Love you,
Love you too,
son.
Mom. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That was us.
That was it.
We are done. That
One-
was...
One thing to remember when you're buying a TV is make sure the ports are accessible.
Oh, yeah.
Like we have a huge screen in our place we rent. All the plug-ins are at the back, that far up, straight in the middle of the back.
That's infuriating.
Well,
Yeah.
so I'm busy. I'm pulling it out, trying to look, and one side comes unhooked.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. I
So he's
figure
holding.
now if I move it, is the other side coming unhooked?
You-
And
You're like,
it's-
Cheryl, can you go
Well,
come
yeah.
grab
You
it?
know, like, some will pull out a bit,
Yeah.
but this one I think it's up and hooked. But the only way to get any kind of like our own Fire Stick, which has all of our own settings on it, is to take this damn thing down,
But it,
plug it in, and then set it back up.
but the good thing is, it's a Fire TV.
Yeah, it
So
is
I
a
was
Fire
able
TV.
to log into our
Yeah.
same